Welcome to the Grandpa Channel, where stories don't fade, they get recorded. I'm Steve Harris. My grandkids call me Rivers. This podcast is where grandpas and grandchildren pull up a chair, turn on a mic, and let her rip. Grandpa stories are chock full of wisdom, life lessons, and frankly, funny as hell. Your stories are the magic elixir to help your grandkids navigate Mr. Toad's wild ride, aka life. Let's Grandpa. Listen up, grandpas. Have you actually pulled the trigger on recording your life story? I'm talking video, baby. They want to remember your corny jokes, your crooked smile, your rugged good looks, and the jaunty bounce of your voice. What if I told you there was a really easy way to do this? Recently, I sat down and I told my life story on video. Not the whole thing, but the good stuff, the messy stuff, the funny stuff. The parts I didn't want to forget and the parts that I did not want my kids and my grandkids to forget. Planted Media made it so easy. They came to me, set up everything, and then they did some editing voodoo magic that made me look like $1 million. Go to plantedmediaco.com and tell them Rivers sent you, and you'll get a nice little Grandpa Channel discount. All right, back to the show. Welcome to the Grandpa Channel. We have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Linda Childs, and she is the school crossing guard for two of my incredibly wonderful little grandsons. What's their names? No, I'm just joking. It's Louie, and it's actually Van, but he's known to Linda as Squeak, which I love that nickname. Anyway, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And I would like you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you became a crossing guard, Linda.
Well, I worked in the private sector for all of my life. And my husband retired a few years ago and I kept working. 72, I finally decided it was time to give up the ghost and have some free time. And that lasted about 2 weeks.
What have you done?
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I have to tell you now, my 92-year-old mother lives with us and she keeps me pretty busy, but I needed a break. So I started looking around. I didn't want to go work at Home Depot or something like that. So I opted to look into school crossings because both of my sons are in education. And one son said, well, why don't you volunteer? That's great, but I like being outdoors. I like, so I looked into that and I got hired. So I was a substitute crossing guard. So I went to all kinds of different schools in the Sandy area and never really got to form any bonds or friendships or anything. And I was actually wondering if that was really what I wanted to do. But then this crossing over here at Willow Hills and Quail Hollow came up and I put in for it as a permanent spot.
It's a magical place because of Linda.
And I got it.
Yeah.
And that was the first year they started doing the crossing for the middle school also, because the middle school kids, their age, they just walk out in the street. They think I'm walking out in the street, those cars have got to stop. Well, they don't always stop. So the Sandy police, who is crossing guards work for, is police departments. We don't work for the schools, we work for the police departments. Yeah. And Sandy decided that they needed to have there's 2 middle schools in the Sandy area that get that. Albion is one of them.
Now, give me a day in the life of a crossing guard so give me a day in the life of Linda.
So I get to work at 7:15 in the morning. Wow, I know. I get up at 5 so I can have a couple of cups of coffee before I go. But yes, I get to work at 7:15. I'm supposed to be on the corner at 7:30, and the middle school kids are crossing until 10 minutes to 8.
Okay.
And then I wait 15 minutes for the elementary kids to start. And
so you're there from 7:30?
From 7:30 until 8:45.
Okay. And then you come back?
I come back in the afternoon.
Okay. From what time to what time?
I'm supposed to be there from 2:50 until 3:50, but I come at 2:30 because high school drops the students, the bus drops the students at my corner when high school gets out, and cars weren't stopping for the bus. So I asked the bus driver if she was all right with me being there to help the kids cross. And she said, I would love you. So I come 15 minutes early. I got it approved by the police department. I don't get, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I don't get paid for it. I felt it was really important. And so I get there at 2:30 and I leave at 3:50. And if all of my kids aren't down the street, sometimes I hang out for a little bit longer. Yeah, I keep track of them.
What's been the most surprising thing to you? It isn't that you came from decades of crossing guard service, but what's the most surprising thing about being a crossing guard for you?
I guess that most people have the innate ability to be friendly. And all you have to do is precipitate that. Saying good morning, good afternoon brings people to you. And so, you
got to open your mouth.
Exactly. Exactly. I have people who walk their dogs all the time. They know my name because all the mornings they walk by, I say, good morning. I say that to everybody. They finally started, can you tell me your name? And now they wave and they say good morning. And I guess that is probably the thing that hits me the hardest is all you have to do is give it a little push and it will happen on its own.
And then what comes back is amazing.
Exactly. Exactly. My good morning every morning to every single child that comes across the street, every adult. I don't cross the adults across the street because I made my mind up. If they know what I deal with, maybe they'll be more aware.
Careful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't cross the adults unless they have a child with them. Emily can tell you, your daughter can tell you that sometimes she walks across the street by herself because Squeak isn't with her. But anyway, right? In the afternoon, I say, good afternoon. How was your day? Did you have a good day today? I just try to be very vocal with them. Now, the middle school kids, which is the hugest surprise to me, before I can even say, have a good afternoon as they're crossing this, they're saying it to me.
Oh, nice.
They are saying it to me.
So I want to make a point here in a rather dramatic fashion. I warned Linda about this, but we've done some digging. We have some intel on you as a crossing guard that shows that you are not just a good morning and good afternoon machine. You go above and beyond. And I want to ask you, and after we get through with this too, I want to have you tell me about your spreadsheet. So anyway, so these are some responses that we got from some of the people that Emily knows as she walks my two grandsons to school. And so there's one in particular that I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through. So, okay. Linda the crossing guard is always so kind to me and cheerful. She always makes sure I am safe. It gets better. Hey, I just wanted to jot down a few thoughts about Linda. I think the thing I love about her so much is every time I see her, no matter what the weather, she is out there with a smile on her face. When I think of her, I think of consistency. She is happy and bubbly. You can tell she really loves the kids. We are always excited to see her and are so grateful for her work and service. We are excited to learn more about her and her life. And then the next one is, where do we start in regards to our fantastic crossing guard, Linda? I'm not writing this, so this is people. Linda is a wonderful presence in our community. She's one of a kind. It's clear how much Linda enjoys being a crossing guard. I can feel that as I talk to you. She greets each child, keeps everyone safe, and connects with every family or person that uses her crosswalks. Every morning, rain or shine, my boys are greeted with a smile, a hug, or a follow-up question regarding their daily activities and adventures. I'm amazed she remembers everything. One time, in returning from picking up our boys from school, Linda stopped me and asked me where my youngest was. I informed her that he had already walked home without me. She shook her head and said, I didn't see him or count him. I knew she was right. No need to question things. I turned around and headed back to the school. Sure enough, there he was, playing football on the field with his friends. As far as we are concerned, Linda's dedication is unmatched. She is compassionate, attentive, and her commitment to our kids is amazing. We are grateful for her and the positive impact she has on and in our community. Okay. I just love how much she cares for the kids, knows each one by name, and has gone out of her way to keep everyone safe. She spent her own money on shovels and ice melt, and she makes sure she has everything coned off for the crazy Albion Middle School traffic. And she's tried her darndest to get rid of the silly cactus on the corner. I know which one you're talking about. She is super awesome. And then just a couple more, and I'll finish with the big one. We love Linda. She is always a bright light each morning. She cares about each kid and makes everyone feel special. We are so thankful for her. And my kids love Linda. They have told me stories of how she has protected the kids when cars aren't stopping, and how she isn't afraid to stand up for kids to keep them safe as she can. We appreciate all she does. She fights bad weather, crazy drivers, and bees to keep our kids safe. Now we'll finish up with, I think this points out the power of one person doing just filled with love. I mean, you have no other agenda or anything.
Right.
Yeah, this is the one I might have a hard time getting through. Linda is a gem. She goes above and beyond. Without my kids around, informed her that my son is on the autism spectrum. Social cues and interactions are hard for those on the spectrum. Linda already understood this about autism and knew that they need real world practice. So she told me that she would be willing to be patient and to be a learning opportunity for him. Day after day, she would say hi and sometimes ask a question with no pressure for response. It's annoying to say hi to someone 100 times and get maybe 10 responses. But the next 100 times, he responded half the time. And once in a while, he would say a little more than hi. Sometimes he would even say hi first. The next 100 times he is talking to her, albeit simple conversations, and a step in the right direction. At Halloween, she brought prizes for all of the children. Can you get a better crossing guard? I don't think. My son got a bracelet that said something like, you make a difference. My son said that should be for Linda because she makes a difference. We turned around and told her that. Now, this is amazing. Now he more regularly talks to Linda, rolling down our window to say hi if I have to drive to school. Just last week, he held his hands out for a hug from Linda. It doesn't sound monumental for a neurotypical kid, but for my autistic son, that was groundbreaking. Linda never passed judgment on my child. She just allowed him to be himself and to learn on his own timeline. She knew it was good for his social development to have these opportunities. I am forever in debt to her. Consistent, unpaid social development therapy twice a day for years. I mean,
I know who that is. And he
gosh.
just melts my heart.
Does he?
He does.
Oh
He
my God.
melts my heart.
I just think that,
I'm so glad I've made such a difference.
yeah. And did you think that you were going to be making a difference like that?
I really didn't. I really did not. Yeah, this is emotional. My son teaches the SALTA program at Peruvian Park, first graders. SALTA students usually are neurodivergent because they're gifted and talented. And that's usually what comes with that process. And so over the years, I have learned greatly what he deals with, hearing comments from him, so forth. So when I met this young boy, I knew right away, what was going on. And I knew you just have to step back. And now he rolls down his window. Yesterday morning, I got to tell him about how 7 deer leaped in front of my car down the street as I was driving to work. And he just sat there with his mouth open and his eyes like this.
Yeah.
And so he has learned, I think, that I'm not an authoritative figure. I'm just a friend. I'm just a friend. And that's what I want to be to all these kids, is just a friend. Don't have any problem telling them when they do something wrong that isn't safe, but I love these kids.
I can feel
I
the love that you have for them.
I do. And the ones that give me hugs, according to Sandy City, we can't initiate that. But I have kids that will run out into the middle of the street to give me a hug.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
If they're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So it really has.
So here's a question for you. How do you keep from getting a big head with this great fan club that you have?
Well, I just look at the drivers who flip me off or whatever and realize I have more work to do.
Well, you're going to make me look at crossing guards in a much different fashion. It's really fun to hear. I mean, those are great testimonials. It kind of reminds you of the old TV shows of Queen for a Day,
Right,
or,
right.
This is your light, sort of thing.
Exactly.
And I know that you don't actively go out and solicit, the accolades of the world, but think of the impact. It's funny because I remember the name of Mr. Flowers of my elementary school crossing guard at Meadowmore Elementary. We called it Mentalmore, but it's anyway, I just remember him being kind, and he was very old. He must have been 97. Oh, no, he wasn't 97. He was really old, but he made an impact on me too. And
Well,
what are some lessons that you think you learn about life from being a crossing guard?
there is good in everybody. This past year, we had a problem with bees, and it was a serious problem. People were getting stung and so forth, and nobody really has a relationship with the people that live in that house, and they kind of keep to themselves. But they're really, really nice people. And I basically just went and had a serious talk with them and said, guys, this isn't working. Now the guy pops his head over his fence to say hello to me every day. You just have to put your foot forward sometimes first. I have a lot of ladies who walk, and most of them wave and say hello. And then I have others who just walk past me and totally ignore me. And
how do you feel when that happens?
It's like, is it that big of a bother to say hello?
Yeah.
It's one word. I tried with some of them and they don't reciprocate. So of course I'm, not going to, I usually, if I see them coming, I cross to the other corner so I don't have to embarrass myself.
You kind of feel probably isolated a little bit.
I had a middle school boy who came across the street just today. I only see him about once every 2 weeks. Nice boy, always very open, very conversational. And he said, "You've missed me, haven't you?" And I said, "I don't get to see you enough." And he said, "Well, I've missed you." And this is a middle school boy. Wow. And I'm sure he's in the 8th grade.
Wow.
And he said, "You do so much for us. Of course, we're going to talk to you." And I said, "And that means everything in the world to me. Yeah. When you guys talk to me, have a conversation with me, or even say thank you, it means the world. It makes my day."
Yeah. Do you ever get discouraged as a crossing guard, Linda?
Only at the drivers.
Really?
Yeah. They're just too distracted. They're in such a big hurry. The city told me that I have to start putting a cone in the intersection that goes across Quail Hollow. And when I first started 3 years ago at this corner, I did that. But it was always getting dragged down the street by a car. And so I stopped doing that and just set it on the corner. And the police came by and they basically said, you really should have a cone. And it's like, are you going to come and chase that down the street? Because they don't stop when they run it over. They don't stop. They just drag it down the street. And so I'm going to talk to a couple of people and see if I can get around it. But I know why they want to do it. And it's because when they're coming down from that middle school on Quail Hollow, they're making 3 lanes out of that one way. There's a long line and I make the kids wait their turn. and I make the cars wait. I wait until I have a good amount of kids on the corner before I stop traffic. And I don't know if you've noticed, I walk out into the middle of the intersection so that I stop traffic in all directions because people don't stop.
Really?
People don't stop.
Wow.
Well, those kids are crossing this way, so I can go this way.
Yeah.
No, you don't know what those kids are going to do.
So tell me how this job, and I'm sure it's high paying.
Yeah.
But how this job has enriched your life?
It gave me back a purpose.
Really?
I love my mother. Don't get me wrong. I loved my father, and my mom is starting to lose her memory, and it's kind of difficult for her. So
What makes it difficult for you?
Well, yeah, being a caretaker is not an easy job, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because I don't want her to feel abandoned or anything like that. But this job gave me purpose. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Right. It gives me a bright spot in my day. Those kids make me smile. I don't force that smile on my face. Kids make me smile.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. Let's say that we gather all of these kids together and they get their wiggles out. And the idea is Linda has a message for you. What message would you have to these kids? Let's concentrate on the elementary kids.
Right, the elementary kids.
Yeah. What would you say to them? This is a tough question.
It is a tough question.
Yeah.
At the end of the school year, I always tell the kids, and this is exactly what I would say to them if they were all gathered, be kind to each other and be nice and loving to your parents. And I'll see you next year.
Yeah. Go be good.
Right, right.
Would the message be any more different for the
middle school? When I first started on this corner, the middle school, they absolutely refused to stop.
Really?
And about 4 days into the year, the beginning of the year, I finally stood at the corner with my arms out like this and said, hey, guys, the city has decided that you need me here to make sure you all get home safely. So please let me do my job. So middle school, now I would just say to them, thank you for your patience and thank you for paying attention.
Wow.
Right.
Great messages.
Well, I'm not a scholar by any means, but I am a scholar in life.
Yeah.
I've been around for a while. So.
Yeah. Wow. So, Linda, tell me, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Is there anything on your mind or get off your chest?
For anybody who listens to this podcast, I would urge them to go on to the Sandy City website because they have listed the laws for a school crossing, which are very different from a regular crossing. And that is my biggest worry. I'm shaking my finger or pointing at people or even...
That would be fearful. If their finger was pointed at me.
Or even sometimes saying, no, to them. And I don't want them to think that I'm an ogre out there. But besides my own safety, these kids are what I have been tasked with. This is my task, is to keep them safe.
Oh, and I wanted to tell me about your spreadsheet.
Well, when I first started trying to remember names, I couldn't remember names for the life of me.
Yeah.
And it was like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So I told the kids, be patient with me, but I'm going to learn one name a day. And by Christmas time, I had everybody down pretty pat. Then the first year ends, come back the second year, and I'm finding myself, what was that name? What was that? I'm getting older. I couldn't believe that the kids who don't really interact with me a lot, I was like, I know his name. So I started on my phone making notes first, and then I would go home and put them in my computer.
Yeah.
So names and their birth dates. And if they had pets, what the dogs' names, or well, nobody brings a cat, but dogs, what their names are. And that seems to be a bond there. That means a lot to those kids. that I remember that this person's dog's name is Marshall, or that I remember Bonnie, or whatever. Those types of things. Now, I do have some little kids who remind me that a holiday is coming up. Are you going to bring us treats, Linda? And they know I am, but I tell them, you'll see. I mean, I don't want them to, I mean, who knows? If I do know, I've only taken one day off in the 3 years that I've been at this crossing, one day. And I'm sorry, I got off track, back to the spreadsheets. Now those kids, some of those kids are gone to high school. I don't even see them anymore. No.
Do you have people come up and say, hi, Linda?
Oh, yes. I do have some of the kids come back and say, I just had to come and say hello. Yeah. And I ask them, how was high school? Yeah. Or how is middle school now that you're not in elementary anymore? Yeah. Some of them say, I hate it, or whatever. Yeah. And I listen to the parents and trials and tribulations that maybe they're going through with teachers or an admin or whatever. And I just have to remind them, well, the good thing about canyons is they rotate principals and vice principals and counselors and things like that every 4 years. So just hang in there. Yeah. I probably know some things before
they know.
Because kids tell them everything. Yeah. They tell me.
Do they tell you everything about their families sometimes?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. When somebody's sick.
That's a sacred trust sort of situation.
Right. It amazes me. Yeah. Or mom might come by and say, happy birthday.
Really?
How did you know it was my birthday? I said, are you kidding me? Your kids told me this morning. I don't keep their birthdays.
Yeah. Well, what a wonderful thing. So how many kids do you have on your spreadsheet?
I have in total on my spreadsheet 45. I believe that was the last number. And when they go off to high school, I keep their names there. A lot of the kids are blank because, they might cross every once in a while. And I would love to have their birth dates, but they don't come often enough for me to. Or I might say happy birthday to somebody and they'll look at me and say, what are you talking about, Linda? It's not my birthday. Well, your brother told me it was your birthday. So, right. But yes, I will just keep, my spreadsheet is highlighted for elementary and middle school. And then when they go on to high school, they're moved down the sheet.
How much longer do you think you'll be doing this?
As long as they'll let me. As long as I'm able. I am not shoveling anymore. Yeah. But there are a couple of dads who come and do it for me.
Really?
Yes.
That's very nice.
That's very nice of them. Yeah. They are, this year, we haven't had a problem, unfortunately. But last year, yes, when we had a lot of snow last year, they started coming and helping. They would bring their machines or they would even bring their trucks because, when the plows go down the street, they just pile it up. Yeah. But they have been really, really good to me. Maybe that's because I'm good to their kids.
I think that's true.
Right.
So maybe a final question. This is an unfair question. What kind of a message would you have based on your vast experiences with these wonderful 45 plus, kids? What kind of things, what's something that you would say, this is what I've learned, and your audience are the parents? What would you say to the parents?
I think that these kids are so ready to learn and so ready to have life experiences that I know we get busy in life. I know that a lot of things go on in our families and stuff happens, but just take a minute. Just take a minute because it's not that they're not paying attention. It's just they get so busy. It's easy for me to say, I'm retired. I don't have the rat race to deal with every day of my life anymore. And I don't have to make sure the kids have their homework done and this and that and so forth.
Make sure dinner is ready.
Exactly. Right. My husband would tell you I don't ever cook anymore, which is also something that happened when I retired.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I would just tell him, take a minute. I know you all think or probably feel that you're doing everything you possibly can, but just give it a little more effort because these kids soak in everything, absolutely everything. In the fall, I go to the gym every day after my crossing in the morning. just to keep myself mobile and able to do this job. And I had a knee sleeve on my knee. And one of the boys said, Linda, what happened? Did you get hurt? They notice these things. They notice all of this stuff. And it really touches my heart that they realize what's going on. Nothing escapes them. It really doesn't. So just a little more effort. I mean, you probably think you are doing everything. You probably think you have exhausted yourself with all. I totally agree. It's tough raising kids. It is. I raised them. It's tough raising kids, but just a little more, know what your kids are crazy about. I have 2 boys. Their dad is a huge Bronco fan, and I can't stand the Broncos, and they know it. So I'm not saying anything here that's going to hurt anybody's feelings. But when they got into the playoffs, the boys coming up to the crosswalk is, okay, we're going to root for the Broncos this weekend, right? They're going to do it. They didn't, but I mean, those are the things that I try and know about the kids. And I know their parents know it, but I have a little girl, she said, my dad was so upset at me this morning. I said, I'll tell you what, remember your dad is just like everybody else. We have good days and we have bad days. And when you go home, just tell him you're sorry.
So if I were to summarize all this, we have Linda, the wonderful crosswalk, keeping kids safe and dispensing wisdom and love. How about that?
Okay, I'll take that. Okay. I'll take that.
Well, we're really happy that you could take some minutes to listen to this podcast and learn some wonderful things from Linda. And so thank you, Linda, for being here with us. I hope it wasn't too traumatic.
No, my pleasure.
And we'll see you next time. I think I'm going to go take a nap. That's it for today's episode of the Grandpa Channel. Leave a review, share it with a friend, or better yet, tell your favorite grandpa. We're on a mission to gather 1 million grandpas, storytellers, wisdom keepers, and lovable wild cards. Until next time, keep the mic hot, the memories fresh, and the jokes just slightly inappropriate. I'm out of here.